I'm sitting here with Chris. Well, his original name is Constantine, and he's the husband of Coralia. He's also a medical doctor, and he has an interesting story as to how he escaped from Romania. Would you like to tell us that story?
Yes.
What happened?
Because I feel that by telling the story, I will be like a thank to God who helped me and who has been with me. I mean, during such a hard time. I mean, because when I escaped from Romania, majority of people either would turn back or would be killed on the border.
Uh-huh.
And
why did you escape? What happened?
I escaped because why I escaped? Why I left Romania?
Yes.
Yes. I finished university in 1980, and I was working as a doctor for 6 years, and I can say that I was quite a successful doctor there, and I was the head of the clinic in the city where I was working in Roznov, and the same I had the right to work in the hospital, and everything was going fine, and till one day when the secretary of the province, of the we call Județ, where I was living, came to my clinic, which was a big surprise for such a little man to come. Somebody who was working before for Ceausescu and was demoted for a few months for I don't know why, and came to my clinic, and after asking me a few questions and praised me, he said, "Oh, I heard that you are a very good doctor and you're working very well and you're working in hospital, but I heard something which I didn't like. The fact that you don't work Saturday."
Interesting.
And I said, no, I mean, if it's something urgent, I do work Saturday. I do help people Saturdays if it's a really, I mean, urgent thing. Otherwise, my colleague pediatrician, he works on Saturday and I work on Sunday, convenient for both of us, and it's going very well for so many years. And she said, "No, I want you to come to work every second Saturday." And I try to explain to her, I mean, like, if it's something urgent, the church is very close to the clinic, and anyone can call me and I will be there in 10 minutes if it's something which can be solved by the pediatrician. And she insisted, "No, you have to come here on Saturday." And she said, "If you don't come, from next week, you will not be allowed to work in hospital anymore." And I said, "Okay, you are in charge." And I didn't go, and came back, and I received an answer that I'm not allowed to work in hospital anymore. And in a couple of weeks, came back and they said, "Look, if you really don't want to listen to us and you don't want to confirm with what we ask you to do, in a couple of weeks, you're not going to be the head of the clinic." And I said, "It's fine with me. I mean, I can work as
the doctor. You don't have to be the head of the clinic."
I don't have to, yeah. And I didn't go the next Saturday. And after a couple of weeks, he came back and really, I will say, really angry that didn't get the way she wanted. She said, "Look, if in 2 weeks you're not coming back, you're not coming to work on Saturday, you're not going to have a job anymore." And happened that the day after the Saturday when I have to go and I didn't go, I crossed the border.
Okay. How did your wife feel about that?
I mean, my wife was very happy about it because she was working on me for more than a year, asking me, to leave Romania because of all other problems which we had there. And I said, if God is not with me, I'm not going to go. If I don't know for sure that God is coming with me, I'm not going to go. And I start praying, I start fasting. I had a very good friend who was the elder of the church, which I could trust because you couldn't trust everyone. And I pray with him, and he wasn't for me to leave Romania and to leave the church. And the church where I was there, not to leave the Seventh-day Adventist church. And when about a couple of weeks before I got this ultimatum that I will not have a job anymore, a friend of mine came to me on Saturday night, and he said, would you come with me to cross the border? And if by then many, many times I say no, suddenly, like I said yes, I could say that even without really thinking about, it
just happened.
Just happened. I said yes, yes. And we did other preparation in the next 2 weeks. He said I got a guide, and we went and visited a guide. I didn't like him very much, anyhow. And we visited other people who tell us how we're going to cross. The place where we crossed the border was about 700 kilometers from the place where I was living. I never been in that area before, and even we weren't allowed to get more than 30-40 k's close to the border. The police will know from the number of the car, where are you from, and will ask you what you're doing here. Yes. And when Friday night we arrived in a city which was about 40 k's from the border, and we stayed with the pastor, which was husband of one of my wife's friends, and we told him what we're gonna do, and he said, I'd like you to sit down and I'll tell you a story. And he said, do you know where I've been today? I've been and I visited my brother who is in jail. He was caught on the border and was given 8 months jail. And he was very lucky, because many will be caught on the border, will be killed, will be beaten some to death, some will be scarred for life, and after will be consequences, for you, for the rest of your life or your career or things like this. Think
about it before you actually do it, right?
And I told him, look, I prayed for this for a year, and I'm convinced that God is with me, and we're gonna go. And we left around 12 o'clock. We had to meet the guide close to the main railway station in that city. He came a bit late and took the money and gave the money to his daughter. And he said that now the four-wheel drive will come, and which will take you right to the border. And we waited and waited. And I told my friend who was the leader, I said, look, watch this man, because this man is going to run away. And in the end, he said, "Look, I don't know why the four-wheel drive hasn't come. We need a car to go close there, otherwise we can't go because it's very far." And we said, we got our car. And we even didn't think that with the car going towards the border would be very, very dangerous. We just said, we got a car. And he came in the car, and we did drive, and we did drive past one of the posts where the two soldiers were staying and looking at the car who was passing. That they were busy with something else, didn't see us. We got closer, and he said, we're going to stop here, which was a little railway station. And he said, we're going to stop here, and we're going to go through this railway station. And I told him, I don't think it's safe, because everyone will be suspicious when will see us. Oh, no, we'll be okay. And I forgot to tell you, we were 3 people who we decided to go together. And one of them got so scared when we came to the point to come out of the car, and he started shaking and said, "No, I can't come. I can't go." And my friend, the leader, I said, "No, you have to come," because they were more best friends than with me. Anyhow, he couldn't come, and he stayed and helped my wife to go home and pray for us during the trip back to our town. Anyhow, I told the guide, I said, "We're not going to go through the railway station. Which way we have to go?" And he said, "Show the way." I said, "Okay, we're going to the right about 500 meters, and we're going to get from there our way." And I found out later on in Yugoslavia that at that railway station, they had a direct line with the old phone, if you remember, and a direct line to the border. And they would say, 3 people or 2 people
on their way.
On their way. Watch that. Okay. And indeed, they did, because they looked after us a couple of times. After we walked for another, to say, half an hour, he said, "We're going to go through this little town." And I said, "I don't think it's the right decision." And he said, "Why?" "The people there will notice that we are not from the town, it's a little town, and they will tell the police, and, you're going to say that you're coming to collect corns." And I said, "What? I'm a doctor, and I live 700 kilometers away, and I come to collect corns here in the..." And I said, "Now, tell me which way to go." Anyhow, I forgot to tell you maybe one of the best important part of the story. After we passed the railway, I start talking with the guide. And after 5 minutes talking with him, I realized that he was mentally disturbed.
Okay.
He was a schizophrenic. And even I asked him, "Have you ever been to a psychiatric hospital?" And he took from his pocket an admission paper, which and there I saw schizophrenia. And he said, "Okay, well, you've been this way?" "Yeah, I've been once before, and I haven't heard the people back after."
Okay.
I said, "How do you know that they did pass? The border." "Oh, the fact that they haven't come back, I haven't heard about them. This means they are there." I said, "Okay." And I told my friend,
So that is why you didn't go through the towns. That's why you decided to do everything the opposite of what he suggested.
Yes.
Good.
And after we passed that little town, we saw coming from the left a four-wheel drive, which were going through a field where the animal or grazing. And we saw this four-wheel drive driving not on the road there, even on the dirt road, going on the pasture there. We said it doesn't look good, and we found a place where to hide. But the guide tried to run towards the four-wheel drive, and I did run and I jumped on him, and I said, "You stay down. You stay down here." Okay. When my way running towards him, I lost the very precious binocles, which we're gonna use when. Okay. And that car did go about maybe 200 meters from us, didn't see us. It was about 6 o'clock, which was about 1 hour before sunset. And he went to the little town which I told you before, and in about half an hour, came back. When they came back, the same thing happened. That guy did really run now, and both of us ran out of him and put him down. And I said, "Look, what you want to do?" And now, we I realized from the first time he wanted to get rid of us, betrayed us. This was his.
He wanted to betray you.
Yeah. And after the car, which came very close to us, maybe within 100 meters, and now they put, because it was getting dark, they put the lights on, and they were going to the right, to the left, looking on the left. They knew that, a couple of people were going from the from the little railway station. Because I told you that in that railway station,
there was
a friend of mine had his uncle working there. He lives. That friend of mine is now living in Melbourne. He said, "My uncle worked there. I met him in Yugoslavia. Worked there, and I know from him for sure that any suspicious person, they have to report it, and if they don't, they will be punished. If they do, they get a reward. I don't know what kind of reward, money maybe." And after the second, when the car came back and passed and didn't see us, we had a talk with the guide. And I told him, "Look, what you're doing." And I asked him, "Do you know the way from here?" And he started shaking. He was afraid that we're going to beat him up, we're going to kill him, and things like this. I said, "Look, we are Christian. We're not going to beat you up. But what you're doing is not right. And this is the way to the town which you want to take us through. You go there. If you got a little bit of conscience, maybe don't tell anyone about us." And we pray for him, and we let him go. And when my friend asked, "Oh, get the compass." I went in my backpack. Compass wasn't there; was gone. And we had a bit of discussion there. How did I lose it? And we start going and walking. Walk for another 2 hours. And suddenly the moon came. It was a full moon with the light, like the lights we got in front of us here, and was really making such a
You were very visible.
Very visible from maybe from more than a kilometer away. My wife told me after that after they did drive about 300-400 kilometers, they stopped and they looked outside, they looked at the moon, and they thought about us and what will happen, though we will be caught, something like this. And they prayed there and for us. And while we were walking, suddenly I saw a man coming from the left side with something in his arm, or right arm, and with a dog. And we thought, this is a soldier, and he's gonna shoot us, he's gonna kill us. And we saw a little bush there. We hid behind the bush, but he came straight to us. And when he was very close, and I just lifted up my eyes, I said, "Don't shoot us, we are good people." And he started talking with us and asking questions, and we told him, yes, we want to cross the border. Do you know where the border is? And he started giving us very precise information. He said, the way you're going north, and you're gonna get back to the town which you left. I mean, initially, when the big town where we met first time, the guy, and you have to go left. And you go left for about half an hour the way walking, and then will be a road. And on that road, the soldiers will come full drives with portable lights, and they will look on the field to see people. And told us that will come from the right. If you have time to get close to the road, there is a ditch. And go to the ditch and lie down in the ditch, and they will not see you. And exactly like this happened. The car came from the right. I saw the lights going over us, and the car went. And he said, after this, you will walk for another half an hour, and will be train lines. And the little train with 2 carriages will come from the right, and will be soldiers in the front and in the back with the same lights. Try to find somewhere to hide, not to be seen. And exactly like this happened. Mm-hmm. And after this, they said, you go further till you will hear the dogs barking. Will be the dogs from place where they keep the sheep, which is very close to the border. And when they're barking, this means you are too close to them, and then go right. And go right till the dogs will stop barking.
That's very precise information.
Very precise information. And he said, then the border will be on your left. And he said, I don't know more. Okay? I tried to give him money, and he didn't want to take money. And he left. When I was talking this, I told this to one of the Romanian evangelists, and he asked me a few more questions. He said, I mean, whatever you believe about the shepherd, I think was an angel of God.
Absolutely. With that kind of information, it cannot have been just a normal human being.
And we arrived to that place where he said, border will be on your left. And I tried to, I I forgot. When we went to the left, we saw on the about 300-400 meters from us a big post where the soldiers will stay.
Okay.
Okay.
Like a lookout?
Lookout. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you helping my English. And we thought, okay, this is one. Let's go and see the other one, and then we go through the middle, which was the worst things which we could have choose. We found out later on in Yugoslavia from the people who was in the army and did their duties in that place, and they said during the night, especially at that time, which was about 3 o'clock at night, the soldiers will leave
the lookout,
and they go in the middle and talk, have a cigarette, and things like this for the time to go. And we didn't know this because we are so far away from the border where we lived. And we arrived at that place. We decided to cross, and I was ahead, and I said I'm gonna run all the way. And after 4 or 5 steps, I was stepping on some big leaves of beetroots for animals. I don't know if you got this one here.
Yes.
Yeah. And
cattle feed beetroot.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they were making such a noise. And being middle of the night, and you can hear this from 500 meters, maybe more. And the same time was a full moon, and with that light, when somebody will hear the noise, look around, would see us. And I just fell on my face down, and I started praying. I said, God, I didn't live without being assured that you are with me. And you know that there is not a way back, because they will catch us. And as you can see, there is not a way to go ahead. It's in your hands. I was praying. And while I was praying, suddenly I heard a noise. And start raining with big drops. I don't know, maybe because was that experience which remained for me for life. But there are some times when rain was out with big drops.
Mm-hmm.
And make such a big noise on that leaves
that you could run again.
That you can run again. And the soldiers from there, because of the rain, went to their post, okay, and we did cross. After we crossed that, okay, the rain stopped. We didn't get wet. And we crossed, and we were just about 40 meters, 50 meters from an Yugoslavian border patrol house. We saw the soldiers through the window, and we saw that they all had different uniform. I said, "Oh, this Yugoslavian," and we passed them on the right, and we went into the little forest which was there, and we stayed till 5 o'clock in the morning, and from there we went the next day.
Okay, and then where did you go to? To a refugee camp, or what did you go to?
Yes, I mean, no, it was, I'll tell just a little bit of my story. During the day we saw cars coming to that house, so I mean the soldiers' houses, and we stayed all day, and we decided where we're going the the next night. And we were so thirsty, we didn't have anything to drink with us. We had the right diet before we left, chips with feta cheese.
Okay.
And we were so thirsty, we tried to find some water on the leaves, but they wasn't much because there wasn't much rain. Okay, and after that night, after we walked for about an hour, I fell into a irrigation canal. And when I fell on it, I drank maybe a couple of liters of water, and I told my friend which was behind, and I said, look, there is here, see where you can cross, but there is good water here. And we went all night, and in the morning we stay and sleep under a tree. But because I was wet from that experience in the canal, I started shivering, and I woke up my friend and said, look, we have to go because I'm going to get sick. And we went to the one of the main road there, and we waved a first car which was there, and we told them that we want to go to Belgrade.
Yes, I've been there.
You've been there?
Yes.
Okay. And he said, oh, no problem, I'll send my friend which goes there, and in 5 minutes came his friend, which was the police car.
Okay.
And he took us and to the police station, and in the morning came the mayor of the little town and gave us 21 days prison term. And there we found out that 8 out of 10 people, we were about 60 people in that prison, and 8 out of 10 would have been sent back to Romania. And only 2 would go ahead. There was one of the guards who was speaking Romanian, and every day he will come. I mean, these 3 people who left today was sent to Romania, and very rare during these 21 days we'll say, oh, this one was sent to Belgrade. And when we arrived in Belgrade, we noticed that exactly like that, only the one which he told us.
So why did they choose you to stay?
They were looking for religious persecution or political. And they have to be very genuine. They ask you a lot of questions to be sure, and they will check it. They've asked me the name of the union president, the name of the local pastor. They've asked me, how do you have the communion? I mean, lots of questions which, if you want...
So let me get this straight. When you were now in Yugoslavia and you told them that you were a Seventh-day Adventist, how you do baptism, who the union president is, and all of these things, you were actually allowed to stay in the country, whereas in Romania they wanted to take your job away because of the Sabbath. Now the fact that you belonged to that church was saving you.
Yeah, because, yeah.
That's interesting.
And from there, from that prison, they were taking us to the United Nations camp. And there, they did another interview, and asked where I want to go, and I said I want to go to the United States. I said, why? I said I got an uncle, I got friends or something like this, and was a lady there and said, "Now you're gonna go to Australia." And I said, "No." I mean, I tried to argue. I said, "There is only two ways: Australia or Romania. Choose."
Okay, Hobson's choice.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was the fact that not many doctors cross the border. I was considered a spy, and I have to stay there for 6 months. And in the meantime, they did all the checks, all the maybe I gave more than 10 interviews and things like this, and
eventually they let you go.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a fascinating story. And how did your wife and family join you?
They managed to pay their way to get the passport.
So they came out legally. They didn't hold your escape against them?
Oh, they had. My wife had to go. I mean, she was taken to the police station a few times, to the security, and she had to stop working for a while. And my children has to be very careful, because I mean, quite a few things happened to the family of the people who escaped. I mean, their kids were killed or other consequences.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing your story, and I'm glad that you are all safe and sound, and even Romania is pretty safe and sound these days again.
Yeah.
And may your experience and the health message that you are sharing with the people, may it not only reach the Australians, but may it also reach the Romanians and the rest of the world. Thank you
very much.
Thank you very much.